This is Dr. Reuben Chen, and welcome to the Vital Signs Podcast. Hi, this is Dr. Reuben Chen. Welcome to another Vital Signs Podcast. I have a really cool, very special guest here. But before we get started, I want to make an announcement. So, for those of you who don't know, right now, we've been doing Vital Signs for already, and we're already going on year 2. And so now this year 2, we've been acquired by Sunrider International. So you may wonder what this means. It means that our Vital Signs topics, we're going to be able to take a deeper look into holistic approaches to living your best life, be interviewing guests that pertain to cool trending topics today, especially about health and wellness, and provide good advice. And we'll also be able to talk about Sunrider products and how they can complement a healthy lifestyle. So that is what we have planned, and we have some great lineups for the rest of the year. And without further ado, I want to introduce a unique guest. Her name is Coach Dar. Is that right?
Coach Dar, that's right.
Dar, and she has, you're an occupational therapist, but that, I think just the term occupational therapist very much undercuts all the things that you do. So can you give a little synopsis about sort of your experience and what your expertise is?
Sure. And so my name is actually Darleen Santore, but the joke is for years now, everyone just calls me Coach Dar. I didn't even make it up, and I'll tell you about the path quickly, but in my journey, I also coach in pro sports. And so that's how Coach Dar came around and speaking around the country. People just remembered calling me. It's easier to call me Coach or Dar than try to remember Darleen. So, and then what I do is I'm an occupational therapist by background. That is obviously my foundation. And I specialized in traumatic brain injury. That's why I started neuro. I love neuro. I love everything about human behavior and the mind. And that became a passion for me because when my patients would come to our facility, we had a rehab facility that I helped at in Connecticut. And the patients that I had, like anyone who's gone through any sort of brain injury, you sometimes go from coma and try to get to a new normal, new life. That actually set up the foundation for helping people when I started my private practice in 2008. And between that, I went back to school to help run healthcare. I wanted to fix healthcare. And so that was a passion of mine, helping people in healthcare. I mean, it's still progress. We're all in this together, but we're trying to get people to live their life to the fullest. Yeah. And in 2008, I took science, psychology, and leadership, and I created my practice because that was the time in 2008 when people were really struggling. You know, our country was going through a really tough time. Mental health, obviously, challenges were happening. And people were giving up. And I saw that as an opportunity because obviously helping people overcome the most extreme odds after very tough accidents or injuries, I thought I could help you overcome this loss maybe of your job or where you are in your life. I saw it as a great opportunity because if I could help someone overcome extreme odds, I could help someone in their day-to-day overcome what they might need to go through and thrive again. And also I took that then into sports and helping people before mental fitness and mental skills coaching was a fad. And I'm also a female in sports. So that was going up against me, but it was just natural for me because it was natural to try to help people start to share about their emotions, about peak performance and what it meant to thrive. So this has built a culmination of various opportunities to help people, but the consistent thread is that I help people with their mindset and build a resilient mindset so that they can overcome odds or just take where they are and thrive to the best level that they can get at and helping people be great at what they do.
Wow. So I'm a medical doctor. My specialty is physical medicine and rehabilitation. And I can definitely understand where you're coming from. Brain injury, it was one of my brain injury and spinal cord injury were some of the worst that I saw. And, those are devastating things, but they were also extremely inspirational experiences, right? You see these people coming in and their families are dealing with something that is devastating, and they find a way to be positive, especially with children involved. I did pediatric rehab for a little while, and that's rough. I don't know. I couldn't do that for long. That's a super rough one.
It really is. But fulfilling when you could see those that may start to make the progress. And after sometimes a year, they get to the other side, or they have more hope than they ever had. So it's those little glimmers of hope that you're able to provide and help the families through that sustains you through it, because it is tough.
Yeah, it's very tough. Now, you're talking about mental toughness. What do you think? What do you think that people can do today? I mean, what can you explain what mental toughness is? And is there a lacking in mental toughness, or is this just something that can be trained in people?
Well, I love that question, because so many times people think mental toughness is just suck it up and let's keep going. Yeah. And that couldn't be farther from the truth, because mental toughness is truly about building grit and resilience, but also working through what it is and talking through and creating a plan about what it is you have to overcome and how we endure tough times and adversity. And I'll often say adversity could advance us if we allow it. And when you start to build that resilient mindset, is what I call it, that's where you start to build that mental toughness. And that is about understanding that you have to be connected to why power versus willpower. So what's the bigger picture? Start building that toughness and building that ability to persevere is shifting your mindset to say, I'm connected to something bigger. I know my mission. I know why I'm doing this. So when the days get tough, I can get up and I can keep going, versus I'm just going to will myself through this. Your willpower will give up before the why power. So you could will yourself, I make the joke of this in a very fun way to get the brain to remember this. But if you put chips and guacamole in front of me and tell me I cannot have it, my will is going to give up at some point and I'm going to give in. But my why power is, in my journey, I've had 3 strokes in my past. So my health is extremely important. So I know I have to watch my health. So that's going to mean I'm going to watch what I eat. Do I want to always go and exercise? No, but my why leads me to get up every morning to go do this. So you could see in the middle of adversity, especially what we just went through, when you understand why you're getting up and the gift that you have to share with the world, it should drive you. Create a mission statement. That mental toughness comes with, what's your mission? Why are you doing this? Create some sort of purpose for yourself. And then also, mental toughness is that perseverance. It's understanding your why. It's the ability to reframe things to help shift perspective. And then the third part of that is having an outlet. If you don't talk about it, you can't get through it. And so often we just want to sit with our things, our emotions, and we don't want to experience it because it's easier. We've all been there. I will use work sometimes to maybe not deal with something, but I know it'll come up. So it's all about how you handle it. And the more you can keep yourself pliable mentally and emotionally and create this neutrality and work through it, you will get through it faster versus trying to just push it aside. And that's actually how you'll become tougher, because they say soft skills. I don't know why they call them soft skills, because they're actually hard. But when you work on this, you build grit and you build perseverance, and you'll go higher and you'll go further.
Well, you said one thing I think is very interesting, is about sharing it. When people think about mental toughness, just like you said, they think, well, that person that never complains, that goes to work every day and just does what they need to do and nothing holds them down. But it's sort of the opposite. How do you find, how does somebody talk out their struggles? Right. I mean, that's almost, I feel like if you feel like you're a tough person, that seems opposite. You feel like you need to, hold it in, and just sort of shove it down. I mean, how do you bring that out in people, especially with athletes, who are, notoriously very tough people?
I think the number one thing is, working in pro sports, you have to establish trust, but this would be anywhere. This is in business. This is relationships. This could be anywhere. But this specific example is once you start to build trust and people truly know that you care and that it's safe, it's a safe space that they could come to share what they're going through, and you're consistently there for them. It's not saying to someone, oh, I'll be there when you need it, and then you're not. You're truly there and you're there to support them. And you show them that it's not about what, just because there's a problem, we have to talk. You start to build this balance of, hey, let's talk about how the game went. How did it go tonight? How'd you feel? And I'll often say, come on, let's get some mental reps in. And when I reframe it to let's get some mental reps in and let's talk through it, that sounds exciting versus I want to talk about your problems today. That does not, I wouldn't even want to show up for that.
I like that. So, mental reps. It makes it seem like it's something that you can like physically do. Talking Absolutely. Out your problems makes it seem like it's sort of this amorphous thing, but mental reps is something, put in your steps every day or something like that.
It is. And, think of it this way, the mental reps is mental fitness. In order to get stronger physically, we know we have to do reps in order to strengthen our muscle. Well, just talking through even your intention for the day, the plan for the day, how you're going to go about it with someone, having someone help you have accountability, you're going to get stronger by creating this routine. Routine creates strength through proper routine, creates strength. So that's what the mental reps will do.
Wow. So do you recommend that people have a coach or somebody that is close to them? Is a good friend almost as good? Or I mean, what do you recommend?
That's another good question, because sometimes when you go to family or friends with some things that you're dealing with, without someone being trained, now they will do the best that they can, but you have to remember that someone that sometimes their biases will, be put into their advice. And so you may not get the best advice because it might be biased, because also they may have fear. They may say someone wants to take a leap of faith and try something new, and you're telling a family member, but they're someone who is not a risk taker. They might then say, I don't know that that's a really good idea, but it's because they're coming from their frame of mind. So when you talk to someone that is specialized as a therapist or a coach that specializes in the area that you want to work on, they truly have the ability to come in a non-biased approach to be able to sit there and objectively listen and guide you based on what your gifts, abilities, talent, maybe some challenges are, to help create a really good, solid plan for you to go forward. So I obviously say your friends and family are there for venting, but you should really have someone that maybe specializes if you want to advance your path a little bit more direct.
I like that. Yeah, you're totally right. I mean, I have siblings, and sometimes they ask me for advice, and as a doctor, sometimes I give them my advice, but then I'm like, I don't think that this would work out for you, or you may be afraid that they'll be offended. But going to somebody who's neutral, who their main focus is for your benefit, and they give you criticism, then you're not going to take it personally. You're going to think, okay, well, I either take it or leave it. But that's interesting, because I know a lot of people will say like, well, I have friends that I talk to and it's all the same, but no, that's actually a really big difference to find somebody that's almost like a neutral arbiter for you to be able to talk to and be able to plan things with.
Yes, because you'll be able to be truly more open and not have the fear. There might be something that you might have to talk about that has to do with family or friends. And so you do need some neutral territory to go and speak.
So I also know that you go around speaking. How did this come to be? I mean, that you have created this name for yourself everywhere, that you speak in large forums and also obviously in podcasts like this. How did this come about?
It started through true being naive and so passionate, because like I said, back in 2008, I was running a healthcare company and I said, I have to go and start something, that because I saw what was happening, and I needed to meet the needs of what was happening. It was just in me. I couldn't not do this. And people thought I was off my rocker because I literally left everything that I knew to jump into something that was not even lucrative at the time. There was no pay. You're just stepping into your practice. And I started speaking for free on top of then seeing people. But because I wanted to talk to people about mindset, I wanted to talk to people about what it meant overcoming extreme odds and how you could truly thrive working on your mindset. And truly the first one that I started was pretty much my friends and friends of friends that brought people because they probably felt bad. And but then they heard what I had to say and they said, oh, you actually have something that could help us. And then it started to just truly refer out from there. And I share this really vulnerable. And I tell people, because when you're passionate about starting something, there's an expression that says, go ugly early, meaning it's not going to be perfect. You just have to step out. Now, I stepped out with the gifts and the abilities that I have. I didn't step out and start a singing career. I can't sing if you ask me, but I love to, but that's not something I should step out and do. So what I'm saying is I stepped out with a passion, with the gifts that I had. And by that point, I'd had a pretty good history with my career of being able to do what I do. So when I stepped out to do this, I had credibility in what I was sharing, and it just took getting out there for people to hear it. And then it became, thankfully, word of mouth. And as people, I would do it every month. I would, set up something and people would come and they could come and listen. And as people heard, they said, maybe it might be, I'm running a company and I really want to get to the next level, or I'm running a company and I don't have a lot of people that I could talk to on my personal development because I am the CEO. So where do I turn to work on my mental well-being and my mindset and even leadership development? And then it might be an athlete that heard about the work I did and said, I love the game, but I have a lot of anxiety and I don't even know how to handle it. Or I am doing really well in my career, but I know I can go to the next level, but I'm limiting myself. Can you help me get more of a mental edge? So, and it might there's multiple scenarios, but truly word of mouth. And as that has gone on, people have just heard about what I do and have asked me to come and speak. And every year I write new themes that work on mindset. So it helps keep things fresh. And it's one of my passions. I absolutely love doing it.
So passion, I mean, that's probably the most important thing. I see a lot of young people that try to go around, that try to start this similar path that you've already taken. But I think obviously your passion is probably something that people could all feel from you. And that's why you've already created such a great following. Also, one of the things I really liked was the idea of go big and go ugly. That's really cool. I like that, with the skills that you already have. Not that
right.
you're not coming out and you're going to be a bass guitar player or something like that. But you have actual skills. There's a lot of people that are, what I would say are keyboard dreamers. They write all these great things about things that they can do and will do in the future, but they just never get out and do it. And
right.
Yeah.
I think about when I go back, I look back and I think of the first maybe little marketing thing that I sent out. It was not pretty at all. I made it on my own computer. It didn't matter because people were truly buying into what I was sharing and who I was. And it just had got me started. And just by getting me started, it also let people know the direction I was going. So if you want to start something, start. And then there's going to be other people around you that will be able to help. But if they don't know, if you're not willing to take the risk and share what you want to do, people can't come around and support you and help you. And I would not be where I am today if it wasn't for the help of others. Wow. And hearing my passion and wanting to help along. So that's why I always say go big and go ugly, because it's not going to be pretty. My first speech I ever did is completely different to my speaking now. It's been over a decade, well over a decade of speaking around the country and even throughout the world. But it did not go the way it goes now. And you just have to hone your craft. And the more you do it, obviously, you even being a doctor, where you first started out to where you are now, you learn as you go, you learn, but you can't learn unless you're in it. And that's why I love what I do, because I consider what I do, I'm still in the lab. Every person I work with is the lab. It's where it's the experience. It's helping people. So then by the time when I go to speak, it's real life examples about what's happening in the world right now with people. So you want to be able to create this mixture, but it takes you showing up, taking the risk, and not worrying about what other people think. That's that confidence that you have to show up again. And you get that confidence by the gifts that you have that you're consistently working on to make better.
Mm-hmm. So you mainly work with people one-on-one, or is it usually with groups, or how does that work with your practice?
So it's split up. If I'm working with sometimes a sports team will have me come in and work with the whole team. And then it will be individual players that I'll work one-on-one with. And then for businesses, I'll work one-on-one with executives, and then I'll do things as a whole for their company throughout the year. But they'll usually have me working with one-on-one with certain leaders that are growing or at the top of their company, and they want to continue to help them be at their peak state. So it's one-on-one, and then it's groups as a whole, or companies will have me come in and obviously speak to their company if they need me to, but coaching tends to be one-on-one.
And that's probably going to be the best, right? You get the best results from that.
I do group coaching when needed, but you're going to go further because it's going to be more customized when it's one-on-one. Yeah. So one-on-one obviously gives you the most, and then you could go to group from there. And then obviously speaking to the whole team or company, you'll get it, but one-on-one is always going to give you more.
Yeah. And you also said something I thought was interesting. So honing your skills. Now, you have a very, very distinct set of skills. How did you figure out that those were your skills? I mean, you're young, you have a lot of things that you're sort of passionate about. It could be anything from drawing to like my son really likes parkour, but I don't think he's going to be a professional parkour athlete. But he loves it. And so how do you know what is the key set of skills that you should, as a person, be honing on?
I think a really good inventory of this, if you're searching to find out what your skill set is, and this is actually a coaching activity I use with my clients, is I say find 3 or 5 people that know you well and ask them, what is it that you think my strengths are? And if you had to describe who I am and what I do and what I'm good at in a 1-page document, what would that be? And if you want to expand that out to 10 people, you can, but start with that. Because what will happen is once I do that with someone, I then say it's 5 people that submit it. They would send it back to me if it was my client and to the client. We'd both read it. And then I would start circling all of the parallel traits, qualities, talents, and abilities that kept coming up, because there will be a theme. And then we could take that and we could start to hone in on it and say, look, this is the skill set that you're really good at. Now, how do you want to apply this to meet the world's needs? Because that's where you find purpose. And then you keep honing it. Because if you take your gifts to meet the world's needs, and when I say world, I don't want people to get overwhelmed. That could be in your home. That could be in your community. That could be in your town. It could be in your region. But you're just taking it to meet the needs of others. So when you do that, you will feel so fulfilled because you have something to offer. And for us to really feel joy inside, and I'm not going to say happy, because happy happens when something's happening. We're waiting for something to happen to be happy. Joy is inside. And you find joy when you actually feel like what you do matters, that you can contribute. People are often saying, I want to feel seen and heard. Well, you'll feel that. You'll feel like what you do matters when you can help another person. And so honing in on your gifts and abilities means doing an inventory, finding out what that is, and then feeling what that is and saying, that's something I could really get behind. And I would feel great sharing that, using it, working at it. And then it won't ever feel like work. It just feels, just how a pro athlete says, I feel I could go hours on the court or the ice of the field. And it's just, that is so comfortable for me. That's how it should be for all of us in our daily life. And if you're not there, then keep seeking to find that, because you will have peace when you do that.
Wow. And everybody wants to feel like they have something to offer. Nobody wants to be sitting on the sidelines and just like, well, at least I was there.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
You don't want to feel like your life is just existing. You want to feel like it matters, and it will feel like it matters when you take what you do and help someone else.
Wow. One of the things that I saw as well that you have put a lot of passion in is something called Pay It Forward. You're the U.S. ambassador for Pay It Forward. So can you explain a little bit about what that means?
Yes. So there was a movie that was created called Pay It Forward. You can go and find it still. And then it was written as a book. And then a gentleman in Australia was so inspired by this movie that he thought, what if I could make my country more kind and people would actually do something for others? Just like the movie, what would happen? Well, he did that, and then it caught on. And then now 88 countries come together every April 28th as a way to remind people that you don't have to wait for a holiday to be kind to people. It should be a lifestyle. And the whole premise behind Pay It Forward is, the way it started out in the movie and the book is, this 6th grade teacher asked all of the students, what could you do to make the world better? What could you do to create change? And he was assuming everyone would give these fun 6th grade answers, except there was one student, and he stood up and he said, what if 3 people could help 3 people? And then those 3 people helped 3 people. And he drew it on the chalkboard where there was 3 people that helped 3 people that then helped 3 people. And you saw how quickly that multiplied. And he says, but help 3 people that wouldn't be able to help themselves normally. So he went and helped his mom with something that she didn't ever expect he'd help her with. A homeless man he took in, gave him cereal, washed his clothes. I'm not encouraging everyone. You have to be safe. But in the movie, he did this, and he changed this guy's life. And then he helped actually his teacher. And he ended up impacting the teacher's life in such a way, but they were changed forever. And people caught wind of this, and then it caught on, and it became a reality, from a book to a movie to reality. And it was about 7 years ago. So this has been going on for 12, the movement. And about 7 years ago, Blake Beatty from Australia reached out to me and said, you've been identified as a world changer, and we would like to ask you if you'd interview to be an ambassador for your country to lead Pay It Forward. And I said, is this a spam call? Is this a joke? And he said, no. And I said, okay, well, what do I have to do? And he goes, well, it's all volunteer. You have to unite your country in kindness. I'm like, oh, no small feat there. So again, this is I'm so passionate. I say yes to more things because if I'm passionate with it, we'll figure out a way. So I said yes. And over the years, people around the world have come together. So I connect our country with other countries, and we globally unite to say, it doesn't matter who, where, what, we can unite through kindness. And we break down all walls, and we say, how could we share in this? And the stories that come in around the world of people serving is so inspiring. You can't not but want to go out and make a difference and help someone. And by the way, this year, our campaign is obviously what we always do, which is please go out and maybe do 3 things for 3 people and see what happens. And you could also socially put a heart on your hand, take a picture and say, I stand for kindness. Those are all fun things. We're adding in this year to say, part of this Pay It Forward is be kind. Just be kind to yourself and others.
Oh, I like that.
Because we've been, people think they have to have monetary. I have to go do something big. No, you don't. An act of kindness would just be kind to someone, especially if they're barking at you, know. But think about, we've been through a really tough year. There's been a lot of division. We've seen a lot of hate. If we could change, we could just start by us being kind to others and ourselves. And then if you choose to go even beyond that, to, share something nice with someone, help someone out, if send someone something in the mail to them, if someone's in need, send something to their home. We use Amazon all the time. Maybe send something through Amazon to someone, and it can be big or little, and then just be kind to them. Be kind consistently, because that's what's going to help make the world better. not by standing on something, where hate is leading you. There's just no room for that.
It's so tough too today, since everybody has become so socially isolated that you're literally only in communication with those people who you trust and are closest to you. That
Right.
it almost feels like we don't even know how to talk to strangers anymore, or stranger.
Right.
Yeah, there's that sort of sense of stranger danger to everybody. So being able to go out of our way to be able to help other people that we wouldn't normally help, that's awesome.
Yeah. I just wanted to share, it could be as simple as, we're all wearing masks when we're out, and people could still tell you're smiling through your eyes.
Yep.
Or I even wave. I'm like, hello. And I use my hand gesture, like I'm waving to you. I want you to know I'm smiling. And at first people think you're absolutely crazy because they're thinking, why is this person waving me? I'm like, I just want to say hi today. Yeah. Be the disruptor for good. Don't be, honestly, because people will be taken by surprise, but then they'll laugh about it. They'll end up telling someone about it, but you'll have made them smile and made their day. Yeah. You could see someone at, I go into the grocery store, and when I come out, I might have a bouquet of flowers and I give it to the first person I see randomly. Just here you go. Or I'm at the cash register and I'll say to the cashier, hey, what's your favorite candy bar? And they say Snickers. So I'll put it on the belt. They'll check it out, put it in my bag. When I'm going to leave, I take it out and I hand it to them. And I said, I know you're going through a lot today. I just wanted to make your day. Wow. I mean, it is so simple. But surprise and delight a stranger. You could do it to your family, but when you get an act of kindness from a complete stranger done to you, it is one of the best feelings in the world, because you think that person doesn't know me. They don't expect anything from me. And they just want to do this out of the goodness of their heart.
Wow. That's, I'll tell you, that does amazing things. So this, couple weeks ago, my wife's parents are very friendly, and we laugh because they know our neighbors better than we do, and they only visit like maybe a couple times a year, but they're just so friendly. They go out and they talk to random strangers on a daily basis. And we were in Texas with my in-laws, and they went and said hi to a neighbor over there. And that neighbor ended up inviting my whole family to their house for an outside birthday party with their kids. And I'm like, I don't even know who you guys are, but you're still inviting us. And like, yeah, come over here, have some food. And they're just so nice. It almost, I didn't even know they didn't ask for anything in return. And they just were welcoming. And this all was started because my wife's dad is a very friendly guy, and just went over and started talking to this neighbor, and that neighbor ended up inviting us over to their house, which is something
beautiful.
It was amazing. And my wife and I, we're still talking about it, how nice it was for this family that knows us for maybe like a few minutes to open themselves up and invite us over. And especially nowadays, you feel like you need to have walls up to everyone, and I don't know, I was inspired. Definitely, I was inspired. So.
I love that, because everyone has the opportunity to lean in if they want to, and lean in and just get to know someone. Because when you get to know someone or you offer kindness, you realize we're so connected and we have so much in common rather than uncommon. And there was a time, a fun example of that shares with your father-in-law is, I learned this from my mother, by the way. Same thing. I learned it from my mother. She just was always friendly, everyone. And we called her the mayor because she knew everyone. But there was a time I was going home to visit. My family lives in Connecticut. And the Uber driver that picked me up in New York, as we were talking, he does a lot of missions work and he's raising his 2 children. And somehow it came up about apple pie. And I said, you've never had apple pie in your life? And I knew I was going to see my nephew to surprise him for his birthday, which meant there was a family gathering. So when he dropped me off, I said, you've got to come in. You've got to come in and have apple pie. The whole family's together. He's like, I'm not going to come in and your whole family's together. They don't even know me. I go, oh, don't worry. They'll welcome you in with open arms. So I bring the gentleman, the Uber driver, and I said, everyone, this is so-and-so. He has never had apple pie. We have to have him sit with us. And that from that year on, for the next 5 years, my family sent him an apple pie every year.
Really?
And yeah, it's just those little things that, and he would always say, I just can't believe the generosity and kindness. Now that doesn't take a lot, but it was just, we could connect, and I built a bond with someone, and, could help out if there was something else that his family needed that we could help out with. But if you lean in through kindness and with a lens that people are generally good, not bad, you will have much more connections. And I keep going back to more joy in your life.
Yeah, it does. It renews your faith in people. You remember that, oh yeah, people are generally good. This is something that seems sort of random and obvious, but most people are generally good people. So
truly,
something that if you ask a child, they would say like, oh yeah, sure, why not? But to an adult, because we have sort of conditioned ourselves to be distrustful and think that there's evil around every corner, we forget, no, a majority of people are just like us, and we just want people to treat us well.
A great example for that is Dr. Wayne Dyer had said that we need to be more like the palm tree. And he said that in contrast to a birch tree that's more rigid. For the example that as we get older, we start to get more rigid. And think about a birch tree. When a storm hits, it's rigid and it will break in a storm, ice. Yeah. But a palm tree could withstand high winds, bend all the way down, and come up and never break. So he said, if we could get mentally, emotionally, and spiritually more malleable and flexible, we would actually have more connection and community and joy, because we will bend in the storms, and we will also bend and be open to what people are saying or what they're sharing. We don't have to agree with it, but we would be more open to leaning in and listening. Again, that doesn't mean you agree. It just means you're more have a growth mindset, that you allow yourself, where people then feel comfortable sharing things with you, knowing you might not agree, but you'll say, well, that's a great point. Very interesting. Thanks for sharing that, versus that's ridiculous. I would never do that. You shut someone down when you do that. You don't have to agree, but you could say, great point. I understand, or I may not understand, but thanks for sharing it with me. Versus we're in this world with Twitter where it's you say something, I say something, I hate this, I don't like. And so where's the kindness and openness? And just stay pliable, stay flexible, and not be so rigid, because extremism hurts. Whereas everything in moderation also means mental moderation too.
People just want to be heard. And it's ridiculous. Most people would also say, yeah, they don't believe everybody's going to agree with them, but they just want their opinions to be heard. So, wow, that's a great idea. How do people participate in this pay it forward thing? I mean, you're representing the United States, so you're the ambassador. So how can the average person participate in this pay it forward program?
Well, anyone listening, you're now part of Team USA. So there you go. And if you're in another country, that's okay too. You're part of Global Pay It Forward Day. So everyone is a part of this because it's volunteer. That was the beauty of this, is that you don't have to do anything but take the chance and take the, opportunity to pay it forward to someone else. So on April 28th, what we're asking is everyone to come together and do some sort of act of kindness. If you can, do an act of kindness for 3 people. The fun visual that we just added was to draw a heart on your hand, take a picture on social media, and share hashtag Pay It Forward Day, hashtag Stand for Kindness. That tends to go viral every year. And then you could share about what you're doing. So start thinking now, what are a few things that I could do on April 28th that I could share these acts of kindness? And then you could share about your experience. And here's another thing that we added this year, which was obviously about being kind. But if you'd also like to share a story on social and let it go viral about how an act of kindness impacted your life, that would inspire people. So that's a way of paying inspiration forward, which is paying kindness forward. By sharing an act of kindness affected your life for good, and use those hashtags, pay it forward day, hashtag stand for kindness, because by doing that, you'll inspire someone to say, I could go do that for someone else. I know exactly who could, benefit from that story that someone just shared. We sometimes just need to be inspired and have that spark of inspiration to get us to get up and go do it.
So can you say that again? So it's hashtag pay it forward day and hashtag what?
Stand for kindness.
Stand for kindness. Wow. So you are in the middle of the two things I think that we need so much is how to be kind to one another and mental toughness, dealing with hardships. I mean, that is,
yes.
that has been this year. So
truly,
you have been in the trenches in some of them, like this is kindness warfare that we are really needing to embark in. Wow.
I couldn't be more, it's been a lot of work this year, but I couldn't be more honored because it's the thing that we need most. And I could never just sit back and watch without helping because we need it more than ever now.
Yeah, definitely do. So how do people follow you or hear the things that you're doing?
You could always follow on social media, and the handle for Instagram and Twitter is the Coach Dar, TheCoachdar. And on Facebook, it's just Darleen Santore, but I spell my name Darleen, so you could check it out on there. And then LinkedIn, and coachdar.com is my website. And on there are a couple master classes that you could always take if you just want to jumpstart. Very easy, 10-minute. People want to jump on. Sometimes they're like, I just need a little, they call it, I did not make this up. They call it a dose of Dar. So you could get a dose of Dar. I post every day something that will inspire you. So you could follow along on social for a dose of Dar, and you could check things, what's coming up on coachdar.com. And I hope that I've used my platforms to pay inspiration forward every day. It's my way to pay it forward on mental resiliency. So you'll find mental skills tips on there. You'll find humor, you'll find inspiration, but I use all of my platforms to help. I post intentionally about trying to make someone else's day better.
Wow. And that's great, especially with social media. I feel like has been a tool to really knock people down, to start using it as a way to lift people up. That's something that we all need right now. So, all right. Well, I hope that everybody that's listening to this follows you and it goes to your website. I'm definitely going to check it out. Thank you so much for sharing also about Pay It Forward. It is, again, man, kindness is one of those things that I feel like it's a resource that is in abundance in this world, but we just need to go get it. So
right. Thank you for having me on and sharing today. I really appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. Again, it's Coach Dar, and please check her out, and also check out Pay It Forward. And please, let's get some kindness out there. April 28th, right?
Absolutely. And the Pay It Forward website is globalpayitforwardday.com.
globalpayitforwardday.com. All right. Okay. Well, thank you very much. Thank you. All right.
Bye.
Bye.